Hello, everyone. This is Chala, CEO and founder of the Repositioning Expert, coming to you live Tuesday tea time. Here's my tea. It's hot and I'm thirsty, but the tea is hot and I have a jacket, but it's still hot. My makeup is melting, but it was hotter last week because Logan and I were in the Dominican and it was 35 degrees outside and 35 degrees in the pool. So made no difference. A little bit of relief, but still, and this is as much color as I got under the shade because you know that my skin doesn't like the sun. I love the sun, but my skin doesn't. So I'm almost finished my tea and it's Tuesday tea time. So coming back from the annual WeBank conference that I go to, I guess it's 3 weeks now. I witnessed a lot of F up. I witnessed a lot of star students. I witnessed a lot of amazing success. I witnessed a lot of good stuff. But on the other side, witnessed a lot of F ups, as I like to call it, because I just couldn't unsee them. And I wanted you to have the benefit of knowing what they are so you don't ever have to do that, right? We don't ever want, if you follow me, if you sit through these videos, if you actually listen to what I have to say, and if you actually implement it, yeah, I don't want you to do the F ups. So that's just a polite way of saying do, no, whatever you want to call it. So one thing that I saw was, and this is someone who was actually telling me that they did this, is that they asked a buyer that they met at a corporate booth. They asked the buyer to help them. They asked the buyer to help them. And I was like, what? And what did they say? And they just said, they tried to give a little bit of advice. And it's like the worst waste of that interaction, that your whole ticket to that place, to your hotel room that you spent money on. And, this was a pretty junior sales rep. I get it. But really, the onus is on their boss and the owner of the company to train them into, how to approach these things. So it should be the other way around. Like, you should be telling them how you can help them. You should know their problem before even going there. You shouldn't be asking them to help you. No. So you should know who you're going to speak to, what you're going to talk to them about, and what their problem is and how you're going to help them solve it. Otherwise, you have no business talking to them. You have no business spending any money to be there. And the funny thing is, this girl was resentful, and she was like expecting all these buyers to help her. And she said, nobody did anything for me. And I just didn't know what to say, really. I was pretty wordless at that point. But it just, when you ask them to help you, it shows how unprepared and unprofessional you are. So I'm hoping that anybody who listens to me on a regular basis is not in this camp, is not doing this. But if you are, know that we've all been there. I guess a lot of us have been there and we've come along. And so please, now that you've seen this, now that you're hearing this F up from someone else, please don't do it. Don't ask them for anything except telling them how you can help them, and ask them for an appointment. And we're going to get to that. You're the resource, not them. Remember that. Okay. Number 2 F ups that I saw: having zero differentiators in what they say, what they do, how they introduce themselves, what they try to leave behind, how they try to get an appointment. Having a generic message about how you help, who you help, what you do, having no specialty, no unique selling point, no differentiator, no super niche, no memorable door opener, no leave behind, and really no idea about how to stand out. That's mostly what I saw. So, and there's some really, really amazing success stories that I've already shared with you. And in fact, we had one of my clients who had that success, Pam Nieto, who came on the call, on the live cast. I think it was 2 weeks ago when we came back from the show, because she actually got 4 large bank, the largest in the US. She actually got into their calendars and got meetings with them. So, because She didn't do any of that. She didn't do any of these F ups because, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't let her. So, number 3 is showing up with 0 pre-sales homework done. What do I mean about that? No research about the true buying team's members' names. So if you show up to an event and you know that your buyer may or may not be there, but you have at least one person on the buying team's name or at least a few of them, and you've done the research and you've called them ahead and you've sent them your door opener or you've sent them your pit or you've done something of value to get their interest and have dropped a note that you're also going to be meeting somebody from their company, in the next week or in the next day, and to that you're going to connect with them through this person. They did the homework. They did all that. My clients who were at the show. So, but the majority of the people, they just showed up. They just showed up and walked the floor, and they didn't really get into anybody's calendars or get any results. They had done no previous outreach, no effort. They just show up and throw up kind of thing. And so let me tell you, in contrast to what Pam did, and Pam is just one example, because I also had another client do the same thing. And she told me about how the name dropping of the buyer of her services that she pre-looked up and even just tried to contact on LinkedIn, but she name dropped at the booth of the person's colleague. She actually got an appointment, and the person was so impressed that she already knew who she needed to reach out to because she had done the pre-work prior to the show and had reached out. And they said, "Oh, you know this person?" And she said, "Well, I don't know them, but I've reached out to them." And so that put her on a completely different level, and she was able to get an appointment. So I know that it works. And with Pam, Pam is the owner of her and her partner, Maritza, they own an ad agency, and we super niche them into helping, financial institutions leverage the 1 out of 10 Latinos who keep their money under their mattress, and to turn that $34 billion missing revenue into, helping banks grow through that niche. And so she bought these little beds, these little toy beds, and she sent it to them with this message and with her card. And she was able to call and contact and send this bed to the CMOs of the financial institutions she knew she was going to see at the show. And so she let them know that she was going to the show, and she also sent them the bed. And of course, people were waiting for her. They had been contacted and said, "I really need to talk to this woman," because it was impressive. It was about a pain. She wasn't asking them, how can you help me? She was telling them, "I can help you. I can put more money in your bank." So that's what I want is, one of the F ups, stop doing the F up of just showing up and throwing up without doing any pre-outreach, pre-research, anything at all. Events can be an amazing door opener if you do it right. You can't just expect to show up and, on the strength of your beauty and your charm to get an appointment. It doesn't usually work out that way. Okay, number 4 F up that I witnessed at this procurement conference was leaving the event with cards, but not appointments. Now, my clients have also been doing this, and I have to remind them many, many times because they're just not driven to go ahead and ask for that appointment. And so I've learned that if the person that you're talking to is seriously interested in what you have to say and in continuing the conversation, they will give you the appointment. Now, if there's any chance that they're not interested or they're not really sure, or it's they're just not focused on whatever it is, the pain that you've brought up for them, it's just not a big enough pain point, and they will defer and delay and make excuses. But even if they do, I still try and say, we're going to get so busy when we leave here. Can I get into your calendar? And in fact, this happened to me when I was introduced to probably the most senior buyer at Amazon at the show. And, whatever I said stuck to him. And he said, "We need to have a conversation. We need to have a meeting with you. I need you to do X, Y, Z with this department." And I said, "Can I get into your calendar, please?" Do you know what he did? He didn't have a calendar. He had a person who was his calendar. I've been telling this story all day. It's just so funny. A human being was his calendar. It was so funny. He said, "Oh, we're gonna go up to whoever, Mary, whatever name." And so she was his calendar. She was his PA or VA, or I mean, she was his assistant. So yeah, that's how I knew he was really truly interested. So stop collecting cards and saying, I'll get back in touch with you. Yes, I've got your card. Yes, I'll contact you. No. In fact, there are some cards that don't even have that information. So you've got the card, but you've got nothing. And or they seem so interested, there in person, and then it's ghost city to try to get in touch with them. Not because maybe they weren't interested, most likely, but there's just other priorities when they go back to their office, right? So get into their calendar. So the same thing happened for my clients. If they asked for the to get into the calendar, they got in. And for those they took the cards, it's just chasing and chasing and chasing, and you don't want that. Okay, last F up that I want you to avoid, that I saw in as a sales, and marketing coach is um, going to an event to sell, but not to solve a problem. So what do I mean by that is, if you don't already have what problem you solve already ingested in your DNA, and it's in your messaging and in your, online, it's on your card, it's in your email signature, and it's in your, elevator pitch, it's in how you listen to people, it's in how you introduce yourself. It's if you don't know who you help and what problem you solve, even AI can't find you. I mean, I'm doing talks and live streams and executive roundtables about this, that if you're not specific enough about whose problem you solve and how you solve it, even AI can't lift that language, that pain language, and that solution to be able to shortlist you for buyers, who 73% of buyers are now shortlisting through AI chatbots. And there's only something like 38% crossover with Google SEO search. So if you're not specific enough about whose problem you solve and what problem you solve, don't even go to an event. Don't waste your time and don't waste your money. Show up to solve problems and reposition your headspace into, like, from I'm going to get sales from this to how many people can I help here. One of my clients was having a really hard time going to an event with high net worth CEOs. She somehow didn't feel like she deserved it. She was having some head space issues, and I helped her to just reposition the whole thing. And yes, I know the name of the company is Repositioning Expert, and we reposition your actual marketing messaging. But oftentimes, I have to help people reposition the way they're thinking about a problem, which is what a lot of experts do for me. They reposition the problem so that it no longer looks like a problem, it looks like an opportunity. So I asked her to reconsider it as, what if you could just drop the selling? Don't even talk about your company, yourself. Don't even say it. Just go there to help as many human beings as you can to solve this very specific problem that you help with. That's all. Just listen and ask them questions. If they're willing to open up to you, if they're willing to talk about their problems, then see how you can help for free with no expectations. So it's good advice. It's really served me. I heard this advice when I first started networking, and it really helped me. And that's what I want for you. I want you to go in there and have the best of intentions for not just yourself, but for the room of people there that you can help. I mean, yes, they're buyers. Yes, they're swimming in information and they're just overwhelmed with work, but they have problems too. They want to keep their job. They want to be relevant. They want to get ahead. They want to be noticed for doing good things. So bring them that kind of solution, innovation, and treat them like the human beings that they are, instead of the nameless, faceless giant corporations that are scary to talk to. So have your solution. Don't go there to sell. You can sell, and you can even help the show organizers. You can help, the buyers, the other business owners. Give it some thought about how you can do all that and make that experience count. And really, that's the best advice that I can give about sales at all, because in my mind, sales for many, many years now has been repositioned as helping people. And when I get to talk to someone who I know that I can help. And I ask them pointed questions about where the problem is and whether they can see the problem or not. And if they can't see the problem, then I just step away because I can't help someone who can't see a problem. So, I mean, these are the things that I do when I talk to people, whether in a sales conversation or just even on the street, and they like even an Uber or Lyft, if they're driving me and they own a business and we get to talking about their business. I try to help them to see what, to uncover what they think is the problem is, and then give them a few words of advice to see if I can help, if they're open to that. All right. So I hope this was helpful in helping you avoid these 5 sales F-ups in your next conference or networking or event or sales conversation. I will see you next week. Take care.